Alrighty, let's talk about 5 stones, 5 loaves, and 5 husbands. Yep, that's what I said. So 5 stones. We know the story. Most of us know the story of David. Why do I feel funny? See, I always have to mess with things. So 5 stones. Most of us know the story of David and the giant, and he had 5 stones. So what do we know about him? So he was a child. He was the youngest. He was the least. He was not a soldier. He didn't even have any armor as a soldier would have. He didn't have any armor. He didn't have any military experience. We know that he kept the sheep out in the field. So we know that he had to be a little bit savvy because he would have to know how to take care of his sheep. So what do we think he could do? Because it looks like he couldn't take down a giant, right? He didn't have what we would think of as the qualifications to take down a giant. The biggest thing I think he had was faith, that childlike faith in his God. So he knew he could fight off dangers that would come after his sheep. So David took his 5 stones and his slingshot, the things that he had, and he knew that he could slay the danger. He knew that he could trust his God. And I can just imagine as he's walking up there, like, what's the big deal? Because he had that. He knew his God could. And so David took what he had, and David said, well, what can I do? I can slay that. I know I can slay that giant. I have 5 stones, I have a slingshot, and I have a God that can. So David did what he could. David took and said, what can I do? What do I have? 2 things. What do I have? What do I have? Yeah, we'll say it like that. What do I have? And what can I do? Not what can I do? I'm little. I'm the least. I'm not a soldier. I haven't fought in battle. No. What can I do? I can take care of an entire herd of sheep. I can spend who knows how long at a time out in the fields with the sheep. I can fight off the dangers to protect my herd, and I can trust my God. So David took what can I do? What do I have? And he went and did it. He went and he slayed the impossible giant. So there's David. Now there's 5 loaves, 2 fish. Why do I always, when you start talking about it, then all of a sudden it gets confused. But he had 5 loaves. So what about that? And I always envision, maybe because I was always a little person, a child in a massive crowd. He was a child in a massive crowd. What could he do? What did he have? He was just a little thing, a child in a huge crowd. Probably I always was holding on to somebody that's bigger than me because huge crowds, you can't see out, you can't see above, you can't see the end. You don't know where you're going, you might get trampled on. And the disciples come through trying to find food to feed the masses, and the least, the smallest, the child said, well, what do I have? What can I do? And he had just a little bit, probably just enough for himself, maybe his dad, whoever he was with, but he said, well, this is what I do have, and this is what I can do. Maybe, Mr. Disciple, maybe it will feed you. Maybe it will feed Jesus. Maybe it will at least feed you so that you can continue to preach and to speak to all the people. So this is what I do have, and this is what I can do. And that's what that little boy did. Now, we get into the 5 husbands. So this is the woman at the well. And this woman, when we talk about all the do's or the negative part of, well, what can I do? Or what do I have? Well, she had husbands. And I heard someone mention the other day, and he said she couldn't even keep a husband. And I thought, well, that's a whole nother, we'll talk about that one another time. But she was a woman, which was the least. So she was the least. She was the smallest. She, she was the wrong color, culture, tribe, everything to even be talking to Jesus. She was at the well at the wrong time of the day. So she was there at the wrong, at the wrong time. She was the least because she was a woman. She was from the wrong clique. She had been divorced all those times. Now, of course, we know because she's the least, she was a woman. So she was already, you had to be married because a woman had nothing. So we don't know if they died. I mean, men didn't need a reason to divorce a woman at the time, one of their wives at the time. So we don't know why that happened, but we also know that she, in order to be taken care of, in order to have a home, in order to have food, in order to have anything, in order to be protected, she had to be married. So that's really all we know. We don't know the story if they died, if they divorced her, if we don't know those we don't know the answers to those questions. So here she comes. She's the least. She's there at the wrong time of the day. She is definitely not qualified to talk to Jesus. But what did she have and what could she do? And she was a little bit different than David or the boy with the loaves and the fish. She definitely had her doubts and said, well, why would you even talk? Why would you even talk to me? She knew that she had little to no value in her community. And Jesus let her know that she did have value and that she could speak. And then she realized her God could. Her God could. So she took what she could do because she had been exposed to the living water. And she got her water and she went back to town and she spoke like Jesus told her to. And they listened. I should have had that verse so I'll put it in the comments because I should have that verse right now. Because what she did was she went back to the town and she spoke and they listened. They listened because she knew her God could. Yeah, that's exciting, right? So here's what we need to do. We need to think about 5 stones, 5 loaves, and 5 husbands. And what is it that we have? What do we have? Do you have 5 little stones? There is a story that Kathy Lee Gifford tells about her husband, Frank Gifford, would talk about the 5 stones. It's awesome. Look it up if you get a chance. Frank Gifford's story about the 5 stones. Do you have 5 stones? Do you have the strength? First of all, the childlike faith, because we know our God can. So what is it that I do have and what can I do? What 5 little stones do I have? What slingshot do I have? Because I can. I can go slay the day. I can slay that giant. What do I have to go slay that giant in front of me? And then the 5 loaves. He gave what he had and it filled them up and it to overflowing. He fed and nourished and filled up the multitudes of people with the little that he had, because what little he had, he entrusted it and he gave it and said, here, I don't know what this will do, but you can have it. This is what I've got and you can have it. And maybe at least you can fill up. And then he watched his God fill everyone so that they could still sit and learn. And the woman with the 5 husbands, what did she have? What could she do? Well, by the end of their conversation, she knew that her God could, and she could speak. She could use her words to go out and bless other people. So you can use your 5 little stones to go slay your giant. You can use your 5 loaves of bread to break bread over a table and be a blessing to someone that way. And you can use your voice and you can speak and you can give encouragement for the day. So 5 stones, 5 loaves, 5 husbands. And what did they do? What do I have? What can I do? And it can be very small. It can be a small voice. It can be very small, and you can do something as long as you offer it up and hand it out. You can slay that giant. You can nourish people and break bread. You can speak and be an encouragement to others, because as long as we have faith, childlike faith, and we know our God can, whatever it is that we have to offer, what do I have? What can I do? And go slay your day. Amen, sister.